The room was cold and silent. A soft blue light covered everything, making it feel like a dream. Machines beeped slowly, keeping a quiet rhythm. Inside a large glass pod, a human man lay still, his eyes closed. Wires connected his head and chest. Two blinking alien devices. His face looked calm but weak, like he had been asleep for years. Suddenly, the machine gave a sharp beep. The man's fingers twitched, his eyes opened slowly, blinking at the strange lights above him. His heart started beating faster, and the machines reacted, flashing red and yellow. The door of the room opened with a soft hiss, and tall alien figures rushed in. One of them stepped forward. A silver-skinned alien with large glowing eyes. Her voice was calm but full of worry. "Careful, Hume, you've been in a coma for over 20 years, she said gently. The man looked at her, confused and scared. His voice was dry and cracked. What? What am I? What happened? The alien lowered her eyes and placed a three-fingered hand on his arm. "My name is Supervisor Tali," she said. "You were injured in an experiment, part of a human-alien science team. We tried to heal you, but your body shut down. You've been sleeping ever since, Eli." The man tried to sit up, but his body felt like stone. Muscles refused to work, and pain shot through his chest. He groaned and fell back onto the soft bed. Tali pressed a button and robotic arms helped lift him gently. "You must move slowly," she warned. "Your body is weak but alive." Eli's eyes scanned the room. Didn't look like a hospital, more like a lab mixed with a spaceship. Everything was sleek, clean, and quiet. He could hear distant humming through the walls like engines far below. Then a cold fear hit him. "What year is it?" he asked. Tali looked at a screen and spoke carefully. "Standard Galactic year 4029 for Earth." "It's 2247. Eli froze, his mind spinning. He remembered entering the lab in the year 2227, only 27 years old, full of dreams and plans. Now 20 years had passed. Everyone he knew could be gone. My family, my sister. ... Where are they? Tali's voice dropped to a whisper. "We don't know," she said. "Earth changed. It's not the same." Before he could ask more, a voice echoed through the room. It came from a speaker in the wall, deep and cold. "Supervisor." "Tali, report to command immediately." She turned to Eli and smiled softly. "I'll return soon. Please rest." As she left, the door slid shut behind her. Eli sat in silence, trying to breathe. He looked at his own hands, thinner, older, but still human. He noticed small glowing marks under his skin, just below the surface. Were they always there? He tried to remember the accident. Something about a strange energy device. Something going wrong, but everything was foggy, like a dream he couldn't fully see. Then a quiet sound broke the silence. A small click, followed by a soft mechanical. Eli turned his head. A hidden panel on the wall slid open slightly from the shadows. A red eye blinked. Someone or something was watching him. Eli froze, too weak to move. The red eye vanished and the panel closed. He knew something wasn't right. This wasn't just a medical facility. He was being watched, studied, maybe even controlled. He looked at the door, then at the ceiling. Whatever happened in the last 20 years. It wasn't over yet, and someone didn't want him to know the truth. As he laid back, his heart beat faster. His body might be weak, but his mind was waking up. And deep inside, Eli knew he didn't just wake up too late. He woke up in a new world where humans were no longer in charge, and he might be the last one who could change that. Eli sat in the medical chair, staring at his shaking hands. Even though the machine supported his muscles, he still felt empty and hollow. The room was quiet again, too quiet. Only the soft hum of alien technology filled the air. He kept hearing Tali's words in his head. Over 20 years, when the door opened again, Tali returned with a flat, glowing screen in her hand. She looked more serious now, like she had made a hard decision. "I think it's time you knew more," she said, sitting across from him. "There are things I kept from you," Eli raised his head slowly, his voice a whisper. "Tell me everything." Tali tapped the screen, and a projection appeared. It showed Earth, spinning peacefully in space, but then the image shifted. Explosions appeared in the sky, clouds turned black, a large alien fleet hovered over the planet. 5 years after your coma, Tali began, there was an outbreak. An unknown virus spread through multiple systems. Some species blamed humans. They said Earth was the source. Eli clenched his fists. That's a lie, he said. We were working together, Tali. Nodded slowly. Not everyone believed the story, but fear spread faster than truth. A blockade was placed around Earth. Ships stopped going in or out. The image changed. Earth was now surrounded by a thick ring of satellites and patrol ships. Dark, cold, and isolated, Eli couldn't look away. What happened to the people? He asked. Tali hesitated, then answered softly. Some escaped before the lockdown. Most stayed behind. Communications were blocked. We don't know how many survived. Eli felt a deep ache in his chest. His mind went to his sister Lena. She was 10 when he left Earth, always smiling, always drawing pictures of stars. She had given him a small paper flower before he entered the science program. Promise you'll come back, she had said. His eyes welled with tears, but he wiped them away quickly. Tali noticed but didn't speak. Instead, she handed him a small silver cube. This was recovered from an old escape pod near the blockade. It has a message from a human child. Eli held the cube gently. He tapped the top and a hologram flickered to life. A young girl appeared, dark hair, bright eyes, and a brave smile. It was Lena, a little older now, maybe 15, Eli, she said. Her voice shaking but clear. If you ever see this, it means they lied to you. I don't know who you're with or where you are, but trust no one. They said we were sick, but we weren't. They wanted to hide something big. I tried to stop them, but I had to run. Find the Aurora files. Dad hid them. The message ended suddenly. The image freezing on her face, Eli sat frozen, his hands gripping the cube tight. Tali's voice broke the silence. I didn't know she was your sister. She is, Eli whispered. She's alive. Tali leaned back, her expression unreadable. I should report this, she said, but I won't. Eli looked up sharply. Why not? Because I believe her, Tali replied. I've seen strange things, blocked reports, orders that didn't make sense. Your name is hidden in too many places. You're important. Elim, more than you know. The lights in the room dimmed, signaling rest cycle, but Eli couldn't rest now. His sister was alive. The truth was buried, and Earth had been cut off from the stars. He made a silent promise. He would find the Aurora files. He would find Lena, and he would uncover what really happened. Tali stood and turned to leave, but before she reached the door, she paused. Eli, she said without turning, if you plan to escape this place, ... be careful who you trust. Then she left, the door sliding closed behind her. Alone, in the quiet dark, Eli stared at the cube. In his hands, he wasn't just a survivor anymore. He was a witness, a brother, and maybe the last human who could change everything. The days passed slowly inside the alien facility, but Eli wasn't sleeping anymore. Each hour his strength returned, and so did his memories. He watched everything around him, listened carefully, and began to connect the pieces. Tali visited. Often, more than any other alien staff, she brought him old human music, food simulations, and even gave him a small tablet filled with books. Eli was surprised no other aliens had done anything like that. Most kept their distance, watching him like a problem waiting to happen. But not Tali. One day she arrived with a soft smile and handed him something wrapped in cloth. Inside was a tiny paper flower, carefully made. It wasn't the same one Lena gave him, but it looked just like it. I made it from your sister's message, she said quietly. I thought it might help. Eli couldn't speak. He simply held the paper, flower, and nodded. A strange feeling warmed his chest, gratitude and confusion. Why would an alien care this much? That night, he stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. He remembered his training. Never trust anyone too quickly, but Tali didn't act like the others. She protected him, spoke to him like a person, not a project. Still, he needed answers. The next morning, he followed her, moving slowly through the corridors using a robotic walker. Stayed hidden. Tally entered a private room and locked the door. Eli listened from just outside, placing his ear against the cool metal wall inside. Voices spoke in low, harsh tones. One was Tally, the other deeper, angrier. You're getting too close to him. The second voice growled. He's not your responsibility. He's more than a patient. Tally replied. He's the last connection to Aurora, if we don't help him. We lose everything we promised to protect your... Risking your career? The voice snapped. This isn't about promises. It's about control. Tally's next words were calm but dangerous. Maybe control is the reason the truth was buried. Eli stepped back, heart pounding, Aurora again his. Sister mentioned it. And now Tally? What was this project? And why were they so afraid of him finding out? Suddenly, the door behind him slid open. Tally stood there, surprised. You followed me? She said softly, not angry, just sad. Eli didn't lie. I heard everything he said. You know more, don't you? Tally nodded and helped him back to his room once inside. She sat beside him and looked at the paper flower between them. You're right, she said. I know more than I'm allowed to share. Then tell me, Eli urged. I need to. Know what happened to Earth? To Lena? To Aurora? Tally looked around, then pressed a small button under the table. A field of blue light formed around them. It was a silent shield. No one can hear us now, she said. You were part of Project Aurora. Eli leaned forward. I don't remember it. That's not your fault, she replied. After the energy accident, part of your memory was locked by neural tech. Aurora was a peace program, humans and aliens working together to build defense systems that protected without war. But something went wrong, she continued. A data leak, a virus, and then suddenly humans were blamed. You were the only one left who had full knowledge of the Aurora system. Why? Didn't they wake me up sooner? Eli asked. Because someone didn't want you to remember. Before she could say more. Alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed and a voice shouted through speakers. Security breach, unauthorized presence in medical zone. Tally stood quickly and grabbed Eli's walker. We need to move now, she said. This place isn't safe anymore. As the door opened, armed aliens rushed past in the hallway. Eli saw panic on their faces. Something was really wrong. Tally led him through a hidden back corridor lit with dim purple lights. Where are we going? He asked. To the old hangar, she said. There's a ship there. Yes. One that still remembers Earth's location. Eli looked at her as they ran. She wasn't just a supervisor. She was a protector, a rebel, maybe even a friend, and she had just risked everything to keep him alive. Asterisk sirens screamed through the metal walls of the facility. The ground trembled with distant explosions. Eli leaned heavily on his walker as Tally pulled him forward. Her usually calm face was filled with fear. This way, she whispered, guiding him through a narrow tunnel. Red lights flickered above them, flashing like a heartbeat. The air was thick with smoke and static. Who's attacking us? Eli asked. Rebels? Tally shook her head. No, she said softly. They're not rebels. They're here for you. The word struck Eli like a thunderclap. For me? He asked. Why? You hold knowledge, she said. Memories buried in your mind. Memories that could destroy powerful lies. I want to silence you before you remember everything. He stopped at a sealed door marked restricted. Tally placed her hand on a scanner, but it flashed red. Access denied. The machine said. She cursed under her breath, then pulled out a small crystal from her coat. I wasn't supposed to use this unless it was life or death. She said. The crystal glowed blue as she placed it near the lock. With a hiss, the door opened, revealing a dark stairwell. Inside, dust floated in the air. Old tech lined the walls, covered in shadows. This area was shut down years ago, Tally whispered, before the purge. They stepped inside, and the door sealed behind them. Eli could barely breathe, not just from exhaustion, but from the weight of the unknown pressing on him. What purge? He asked. Tally looked down. After the Aurora project fell apart, the council erased all records, scientists vanished, ships disappeared. Only your coma kept you alive. As they walked deeper, they reached an old lab. Screens were shattered. Metal walls burned. In the center stood a cryo chamber, just like the one Eli woke up in. Beside it, a dusty computer console blinked faintly. Still active. This is where it happened, Tali said, where the truth was buried. She powered up the console, and the screen flickered to life. Eli saw files labeled Aurora Core, Earthlock. Lena, he stepped closer, hands trembling. His sister's name was here. In the system, he tapped the file, and a video opened. Lena appeared again. Older? Be 18. Her face bruised, but eyes still bright. Eli, she said. If you're watching this, then you made it out. They came after me when I found the Aurora files. I stole as much as I could. But they're hunting anyone who knows. Earth wasn't the virus source. Someone planted it to start a war. The aliens didn't want peace. They wanted control. Find the hidden gate near Titan. I'll be waiting. The video ended with static. Eli stood frozen. His sister was alive, and she knew the truth. She had risked her life for it. Tali stepped beside him, her voice soft. She's braver than most of us. Eli turned to her, eyes burning. They blamed us for everything, he said. They locked Earth away. And now they want to erase me too. We won't let them. Tali said firmly, but we must move fast. There's a ship hidden in the old hangar. It has jump coordinates to Titan. Just then, a loud crash echoed above them. The attackers had broken into the lower levels. Footsteps pounded. In the hallway outside, Tali pulled out a small plasma blade and handed a shock baton to Eli. You ready? She asked. He nodded, gripping the weapon tightly. I've been asleep too long. He said, time to wake up the truth. The door blasted open and armed intruders stormed in. Tali lunged forward, striking first. Eli fought beside her. Slow but strong, for the first time in 20 years. He wasn't a patient or a project, he was a fighter, and he would protect the truth, no matter what it cost. The stolen ship burst through the clouds of the alien moon. Behind it, 3 hunter crafts followed, firing bright blue plasma bolts. Eli gripped the sides of his seat as the ship shook violently. Tali sat at the controls, eyes locked on the stars ahead, hands steady despite the chaos. Engines are holding, she said, but they won't for long. Eli looked back through the viewport. The hunters were gaining. Didn't care about laws or rules, only orders. Capture the human, or kill him if needed. I thought we'd lost them, Eli said. They must have tracked the old access codes, Tali replied. She reached under the control panel and pulled out a small black box. Hold this steady, it's the Earthgate beacon. Eli stared at the device, glowing faintly in his hands. It hummed like it remembered something ancient, something forbidden. That beacon was banned after the Earth lockdown, she explained. But it still knows the path to Titan and the gate. Lena's waiting there, Eli said quietly. Ally. If she's still alive, Tali gave him a glance. She is, she said firmly. She survived this long. She's not giving up now. Suddenly, an alarm blared. One of the hunter ships had locked weapons. Eli looked at the weapons panel, blinking red. Should we fight back? He asked. No, she said. We fly smarter, with a sharp turn. Tali sent the ship diving into a field of floating asteroids. Rocks spun around them like a deadly maze. One of the hunter ships followed and smashed into a boulder, exploding. Into sparks, the others pulled back, losing sight, breathing hard. Eli stared at her. You've done this before, he said. Tali gave a small smile. I wasn't always a supervisor. They reached open space. And finally the pressure eased. A map appeared on the screen, a route leading to Saturn. To its moon Titan. That's where she said the hidden gate is, Eli whispered. Tali nodded. The forbidden planet.
Oh.
The silence between them grew. Heavy. Eli sat back, still holding the beacon. Tell me about Aurora, he asked. The real purpose. Tali hesitated, then spoke. Aurora was designed to connect human and alien knowledge, to build peace tech systems that could defend but never attack. But when the project began to work, the High Council panicked. Peace meant they'd lose power. They created the virus lie to shut everything down, she continued, and blamed humans because they were the easiest target. You were supposed to be the last part of the plan, the memory bank, the peacemaker, the proof. Eli looked down, heart beating hard. All this time, I was just dot. Asleep while everything burned. Tali shook her head. No, she said. You were protected. They couldn't risk killing you, but they also couldn't risk waking you, so they hid you, buried in silence. The ship entered Titan's orbit, its icy surface glowing beneath the stars. Eli leaned forward, staring out the window from above. Titan looked comme frozen lakes, golden fog, shadows moving under the surface. But deep below, something waited. Tali landed the ship near a ridge of black rock. This is where her message pointed. She said the gate was buried. Under the ice, as they stepped outside in thermal suits, the cold bit through their clothes. Eli could see his breath fog in front of his visor, but he didn't stop. They reached a metal hatch half buried in the snow, marked with an old human symbol. He touched it, and the beacon in his pocket glowed brighter. With a loud hum, the door opened, revealing a tunnel that led deep underground. Tali pulled her weapon, and Eli gripped his light stick. They entered together, step by step. The tunnel was full of silence and frost. Symbols from both alien and human languages lined the walls. It was real. It was ancient and aid. It was hidden for a reason. At the end of the tunnel, a chamber waited, round and massive. In the center stood a giant gate, cracked with age but still, pulsing with life. Next to it, lights blinked on. A message began to play. It was Lena's voice. If you're hearing this, I'm close, she said. But they're closer. Hurry, Eli. Eli stepped toward the gate. Whatever came next. He knew one thing for sure. He wasn't running anymore. He was heading straight into the forgotten truth. Asterisk, the chamber was quiet. Only the soft pulse of the ancient gate echoed around them like a distant heartbeat. Eli stood in front of the console built into the stone. His hands trembled as he reached toward the glowing symbols. They weren't just alien, they were part human, part something older. This technology, he whispered. It's not just alien or human. Tali nodded slowly. It's hybrid tech, she said. The last creation of the Aurora project. She handed him a crystal drive from her bag. We recovered this from the ruins of the old Earth labs. It's linked to your neural pattern. If your mind accepts, it will unlock your memories. Eli stared at the drive. If he used it, there was no turning back. He might remember everything, or lose what little he still had, but he had to know. For Lena, for Earth, for the truth, he placed the crystal into the console. A flash of light filled the room, and then pain. Eli dropped to his knees, his eyes flooded with images. His past raced through his mind like lightning. The experiment, the betrayal, the lie. He remembered standing with other scientists, humans and aliens, working in peace. They were building Aurora, a defense system that could detect war before it started and neutralize threats without violence. It was a dream of balance, but the Council feared it. They wanted power, not peace. He remembered the sabotage, the energy overload, the explosion taillies. People tried to protect him, but others ordered his shutdown, so they locked his mind. Hoping he would never wake again, Eli gasped, the memories fading. Tali held his shoulders, grounding him. You saw it, she said, didn't you? He nodded, breathless. They lied, he said. The virus was planted by the Council. They needed an excuse to break the alliance, to divide the species. Tali stood up, her voice shaking. Then we have no choice, she said. We must go to the Galactic Senate and reveal everything. Eli stared at the gate. It was still alive, still connected to every system in the galaxy. It's not just a gate, he said. It's a transmitter. Tali looked at him, confused. If I link my memory to this gate, he said, we can broadcast the truth across every known channel. Not just to the Senate, but to every colony, every species. Tali hesitated. They'll come after us, she warned. They'll try to shut it down, erase you again. Let them try, Eli said. This time I won't sleep through it. He stepped onto the platform in front of the gate. Tali activated the sequence. The room glowed, the air hummed. And the machine began to read Eli's memories. Outside, the ice cracked, the ground rumbled. Ships had arrived. Council forces had tracked them. They're here, Tali said. Pulling her blaster, Eli's voice was steady. "Hold them off, eh? Just need 1 minute." Tali ran to the tunnel entrance, gun raised. She could already hear footsteps. Weapons charging, but she didn't back down, not this time. Inside, Eli focused on the signal. The gate responded, growing brighter, louder, stronger, and then his memories, his truth, his pain and hope rushed into the network. A final spark of light burst from the machine. And the message was sent. Across the stars, screens lit up. Aliens and humans stopped in shock as a message played. Eli's face appeared, telling the story. The lie, the betrayal, the Aurora Project, and the call to reunite the lost alliances back. In the chamber, the gate powered down. Tali returned, bruised but alive. "It's done," she said. "You did it." Eli stood, weak but smiling. "Now let's go finish what they tried to bury." The Galactic Senate chamber had never been this loud. Thousands of delegates from every known species filled the grand hall. Screens all around flickered with one face. Eli, the human who had returned from silence. The message had gone viral. Unstoppable, unfiltered, and undeniable. Whispers turned to arguments, arguments to outrage. Some aliens shouted that the message was fake. Others rose in defense of humanity. The council tried to shut it down, but it was too late. The truth was out. In the center of the chamber, the great floor doors opened. From the tunnel below, Eli stepped forward with Tali at his side. He wore a simple uniform, nothing fancy. But every eye turned toward him, the human who had once been forgotten. Now, the center of a storm, he took a breath. "8. Then spoke into the ancient translator orb. "I slept for 20 years while the galaxy blamed my people. But I remember the truth now. We built Aurora together not for war, but for peace." He looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of aliens who once feared him. "Someone buried that dream," he said. "And they used a lie to keep us apart. But I'm not here to beg. I'm here to offer one last chance to fix what was broken." A deep silence fell over the chamber. Even the loudest voices grew quiet. One by one, leaders stood and spoke. A reptilian general from the Naxi rose first. "I fought humans during the blockade," he said. "But I always wondered why the truth felt incomplete." A scholar from the blue-eyed Syrian race added, "Eli's memory matches. Our old logs deleted without reason. He's telling the truth." Then, the vote began. Each species cast their decision: restore human status and reopen Earth, or keep the blockade. Eli stood still as each light on the Senate wall changed from red to green. One by one, the greens lit up, until finally the final vote tipped the scale. The blockade was lifted. Earth was free. The chamber erupted into sound cheers, questions, applause, disbelief. Tali turned to Eli, eyes bright with pride. "You did it," she whispered. He smiled softly. "No," he said. "We did. Days." Later, Eli stood on the deck of a returning starship. Below, Earth slowly came into view. It looked older, quieter, scarred but still beautiful. And still waiting, Tali stood beside him. "You think your sister's down there?" "I don't just think," he said, gripping the old paper flower. "I know," as they descended. Lights blinked across Earth's surface, signals from survivors, from bunkers, from people who had never given up. The world hadn't ended, had just gone silent, waiting for someone to speak again. And now Eli had spoken for all of them. He was the human who woke too late. But not too late to make a difference, not too late to change everything. And this time, the galaxy was finally ready to listen.